And Yulisa, you understood from my announcements that you could come into class today, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I was working last night. I get up to 11.
Uh-huh.
So I was on this class because I remember you saying there were canceling it.
From last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, we're probably gonna cancel it this week because of COVID or something.
Sure. You were wondering, yeah, what might happen.
So I went through the email. No, I first typed it on I sent you a message. What's it? Wrong thing? Oh yeah, it's Pronto.
Oh, okay.
You didn't get the
I'm not
message.
set up on Pronto. I don't use that.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, we're recording, by the way. And because that's what I always do with Zoom, and I'm starting the Zoom meeting right now. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, we're going to give everyone a few minutes to get in here. I still have students coming into the classroom or into the waiting room. So what I would like you to do right now to be prepared for class is to open up your Sandra Cisneros books, The House on Mango Street. I'd like you to take the first 5 minutes to go ahead and pick up reading wherever you left off, okay? We will be starting with a writing activity after we take this time to get settled in and do a little bit of reading, okay? So go ahead and read your House on Mango Street while we have some more students trickling in. Liliana, I'm going to try to make you co-host right now just to increase flexibility so you can let students in that we recognize as members of this class. Okay, Ileana, if you could just give me a thumbs up if that went through okay. All right. Cool. So feel free to, you know, let anyone in from the waiting room. I'm going to finish my setup here. Okay, everyone, let's take about one more minute to continue to read. Once my timer goes off, we'll get started with our reflection question. Hey, everyone. Forgive me for not saying this earlier. Good morning to you all. Thank you for logging in to class today. To those of you who came in person, thank you for coming in. Remember that you do have the option to come into class. Of course, it's not, I definitely do not require it because of conditions now. If you're feeling sick for any reason, or you think you may have been exposed to someone who has COVID-19, then I encourage you to stay home. I also ask, though, that if you are eligible to come to class and you decide it's best not to, that you email me and just let me know, hey, I'm feeling sick, or I don't think I'm going to pass the screening portal, or I think I may have been exposed. I'm just going to log in through Zoom, okay? That helps me to better plan for the day. So if you could please do that, I would appreciate it. As far as finding our classroom goes, our classroom is located in the Liberal Arts Building. That's at the corner of Studebaker and Alondra. Okay, we are right next to Lot 4. Relatively new building. I think it was in 2014 when it was open, but as I've described it in other places, it's all metal and glass. So it's one of the fancier ones. Anyway, when you come into the building, you go up the stairs to reach the second floor, and you hang a left where all the classrooms are, and we're in LA 201. Okay, so if you happen to be on campus, all right, and you do feel comfortable coming into the classroom, that's where you should go. As far as today goes, our focus for today is to prepare you for your mini essay, right? That's our first writing assignment that you get points for, and that one is due tomorrow, okay? So everything we're doing today, everything that's in the module for this week is all meant to help you with this very first writing assignment. So a couple of things. Oh, sorry, I see something in the chat. Sarah is asking, where can we check what group we're in? So this is a good opportunity. Let me share my screen with you all. You can check what group you're in using the announcements, okay, because that's where I posted the list. In fact, a lot of times, that's where you should go. Remember, that's one of the 3 things you should be doing each week. You check the announcements, you check the syllabus, and you check the module. So if you go into the announcements and you check out the plan for this week that I posted on Monday, you'll see that I hyperlinked, I included a hyperlink to an earlier announcement about in-class meeting, okay? When you select that link, we'll take you to that previous announcement titled In-Person Meeting Information. And you can see right there which group you're in. Remember, this is an odd numbered week, and Group Gualinto is part of the odd numbered week. And you can see your name, whether it's on the list there or not, okay? Now, because our class is actually pretty small, I can probably host a few more students. So if we're in Group Gualinto this week, you know that you have priority coming into the classroom. But if you're in Group Esperanza and you're supposed to be in the Zoom lecture, but you would like to come into class, okay, just email me in advance and, and make that request and I'll probably approve it, okay? We do have enough spaces in here, I think, to have more than just like the 10 students or so that are listed there. Sarah, I hope that answered your question. Did that? Sarah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, I'm going to hope that it did, and I'm going to move on. All right, so let's take a look here and see what's next. All right, let's start with our reflection. So the mini essay is asking you to focus on a character that is not Esperanza, right? And that's in part because you've got a bigger essay that you're going to have to write later in a couple of weeks. And that one is all about Esperanza. Okay, so I want you to have new material. I don't want there to be this confusing overlap. Okay, so the question for today, for our reflection, okay, we're going to take a moment to focus on Esperanza before we redirect to the mini essay. Okay. Okay, so this is the question that I would like you to answer right now. And I encourage you to type this out, okay, because your discussion board that is due today, okay, that first post is really related to this question here. Okay, what does Esperanza want? Okay, and before we leave today, I want to remind you all about your discussion boards and how they impact your enrollment in this class. Okay, a quick thing I will say is I don't grade the discussion boards. I do label them as complete, incomplete, or no mark whatsoever. You want to get a complete, okay? Ideally, you get a complete. At the very least, an incomplete. If you don't have any marking, that's because you didn't turn anything in and that counts as an absence, okay? If you get too many absences from the discussion board, then I drop you from the class, okay? Because that is a way for you to demonstrate attendance for the other part of our hybrid course. Hybrid involves in-person, synchronous meeting, and that counts as Zoom too, right? But we also have another part of this class, which is the asynchronous part, the stuff that's online that you have to go through independently. And the discussion board is my way of verifying that you are doing that. So you guys, the other thing too is, I guess I might as well talk about it because I'm on it. I don't grade the discussion board because I want you to feel free to write. The discussion board is a safe place for you to test your ideas and to share them with your classmates, okay? So don't feel like the grammar's got to be perfect. Do your best, right? It's college, it's a college writing course, so I want you to try. But I also don't want you to feel as if this is like final draft, research paper, end of the semester, it's got to be that level, okay? No, it's a lot lower than that, okay? Just answer the questions as best as you can and let me see what you're thinking, okay? And that's the way that you show me what you're thinking, okay? So please make sure to do the discussion board. This question here will get you going with it, all right? So what does Esperanza want? She is the protagonist to the story, and that means she moves the story forward. The protagonist is the main character. And you might, I hope, that you can see that okay. For those of you at home, is the glare too much? Yeah? Okay, good, thank you. Let me try to reduce that. There we go. Okay, Ileana, let me know, can you see that okay if I move over here? There we go. Is it tracking all right? Lisa, you can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. The green's not showing up? Okay, good. Then I will, yeah, I will stick to the black, green. You're over there now. Great. Okay, so anytime we're dealing with a story, we have to have something to write about. The protagonist, with what they want, gives us that thing to write about. Okay, things that thing to see to move the story along. If they want something and they get it right away, that story ends fast and it's flat. Okay, there's no drama, there's no conflict. But it's because this protagonist wants something and doesn't get it right away, makes multiple attempts to get it and is frustrated, right, is blocked. That's how story evolves through conflict, okay? And the opposing force is the antagonist, right? Sometimes that's a person, right? An enemy, if we're looking at a hero movie, right? If we're watching the Avengers, it's Thanos, it's pretty obvious, okay? But when we're dealing with literature and we're not dealing with a hero story, it can be a little bit more complex. Sometimes the opposing force might actually be something within the character themselves, okay? Now, this is not a literature class, so we're not going to go deep into narrative theory in any way, but we have to have some basics in place. And you got to know Esperanza is the protagonist and that she has to want something to move the story forward. What she wants can be a variety of things. It doesn't have to just be one thing. So what I want you to do right now in your reflection is to brainstorm all the things that you think Esperanza wants. These can be material things, concrete things. These can be things that she says directly, like I want this or I desire this, right? But they can also be things that we get the sense she wants and we hear that indirectly, or maybe it's implied. Maybe other characters help us understand that she wants this thing, okay? So right now, I want you to write a reflection response to this, okay? What does Esperanza want? Use your books, please, and write down page numbers for where you're getting these ideas that she wants this thing. This is going to help you write that big paper later on, okay? It's also going to help us understand what matters and what's important in this story, okay? And that's a really important thing to keep in mind when we're writing, because when we make claims, we need to make claims that matter. How do we know they matter? Well, they come back to this issue of what the protagonist wants, okay? So brainstorm right now. What does Esperanza want? I'm going to write that into the chat, especially if someone pops in. Yeah, you know, if you feel comfortable and you want to open up the discussion board and start typing it in there, you can. What I would recommend is using Google Docs, because Google Docs auto-saves, right, all the time. So if you have a tech issue, like your computer craps out, you lose your battery, there's an electrical failure of some sort, Google Docs already has that saved in the cloud. So I recommend, you know, use your word processor, use Google Docs, type it somewhere else so you can kind of think through it, and then cut and paste it for to the discussion board. All right, so I'm going to set the timer. Take about 5 minutes right now to write that reflection, and then I will check in with you and see what you guys think. Okay, everyone, I want you to continue drafting your reflection. I will be taking attendance right now. So please unmute and just let me know that you're here. Yeah, that's it. So continue with the reflection as I do attendance. And if you don't hear your name, because I'm still updating my roster, then just pop in and let me know you didn't hear. Okay, Maria.
Here.
Almost, is that right?
Yes, here.
Thank you. Haira?
Here.
Thank you. Elisa? Here. Heidi?
Here.
Great, thank you. Caitlin? Is Caitlin here? Brianna?
Here.
Brianna? Karina?
Here.
Evelyn?
Here.
Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Here.
Okay, thank you. Lizbeth?
Here.
Morning, thank you. Rachel?
Here.
Okay. Crystal? Hello, Crystal, are you here? Crystal? Sarah Morales?
Here.
Okay, good morning. Alexis, here. Angelina?
Here.
Joshua?
Here.
Okay, good morning. Amanda?
Here.
Good morning. Thank you, Amanda. Vivian?
Here.
Good morning. Thank you. Yesenia?
Here.
Good morning, Yesenia. Okay.
Good morning, Professor.
Okay. Did I miss anyone? Nope. Okay. All right, we're going to wrap up the reflection in less than a minute, and then we'll check in and see what you think. Lisa, can you tell me if you see this? And I think I have to stand next to it because the camera is tracking.
Yeah.
Okay, so the black works.
If we were to actually zoom in, you could actually see better.
Yeah.
Because if it's not zooming in,
Yeah.
it's hard to see it.
Can you even read the black? Esperanza, protagonist.
There's like on the page, there's not a page, here.
The glare,
Yeah.
even with this. All right. Okay. Okay, everyone. So let's go ahead and hear what you think so far. What is it that you believe Esperanza wants? And remember, there are many answers to this question. So you can participate in a few ways. Obviously, for those in class, just raise your hand. For those of you at home, just unmute yourself, pop in. And the other option you have is to type it into the chat. Okay, so let's go ahead and hear some options right now. What are some things that Esperanza wants?
I have a couple,
Yeah,
but I'm probably gonna just say like two.
that's you know what? Yeah, Karina, go ahead. Just
Yeah,
to,
and in the beginning, he talks about how because you know how they were like moving around. She talks about how when they finally get their own house, it was gonna be like a nice one, like a big one, and I feel like she wanted and her family wanted like I would say rich and like suburban house probably. So when
Okay.
she got the house on Mango Street, she was like disappointed because that's not what she wanted and her family wanted. And then also when she talks about her name and how it's also her grandmother's name and she doesn't want to be like a horsewoman like her grandmother. So I think she wants from that what I get, she wants to be like strong and the opposite of what her grandmother was. Waiting like at the window and for like her life to change.
Okay, great. All right. Awesome. I'm just gonna put waiting in parentheses. Okay, so we got two examples right there. We have a rich suburban house. We have wanting to be strong. Yulisa, go ahead. Thank you very much, Karina.
I have two pieces of evidence. Page 9 from Boys and Girls. And the last page, it just says, someday I will have a best friend on my own. One I can tell my secrets to, one who will understand my jokes without having to explain them.
Got it.
Until then, I am a rare balloon, a balloon tied to an anchor.
Yeah,
So I feel like she feels lonely.
okay.
She wants love and someone to understand her. And then I have another piece of evidence in page 10.
Okay, you know what? You're saying so much good stuff. I got so much gold here. Hold on. So I'm gonna separate those, okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Love and not unless you think, well, this is where it's complicated, but I'm gonna separate it for now. Okay. Someone to understand.
And she also needs company.
Okay, you see that as different than this one here?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Awesome, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I want to give others a chance. No, it's really, really good. I'm super happy to hear that. Karina, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to say that on page 45, she wants to like fit in. That's the rice sandwich chapter and
Okay.
how she wants to get put into that program. Although she doesn't.
Right? Fit in, awesome. Okay, so I know you all could hear Karina. Were you able to hear Yulisa when she was speaking? Ileana, could you hear her?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. Karina, you too? All right, awesome. These are some really great suggestions. Are there other things that we can point to from, and I appreciate Karina and Yulisa, but others who want to jump in and share their ideas too?
On page 11, she talks about how she wants a new name.
Okay, let's see. That was, is that Amanda? No, that's Sarah. Okay. Sarah, you said it was on page 11?
Yes.
Look at that. That's right. You had mentioned that earlier. So many great ideas. Awesome. Thank you very much, Sarah. Good. Other ideas? Other things that we see that are like, no, we have to recognize that. That I think that's something that we got to track in this book. She wants happiness. Okay.
Because she does talk a lot about sadness, that English and English and both in Spanish and too many letters.
That's right.
I mean sadness and greedy.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really powerful chapter. And I think you all are going to read that same chapter if you haven't already. You'll be reading that in your counseling class too. Okay. So for those of you, just a little heads up, okay? That chapter about the name and about what she wants and what she thinks her name means, that is something that I believe Rosa and Natasha are going to bring up in their counseling classes. So it is something that can be useful here. It's also going to be something that you're going to have some overlap with in there. All right, this is a really tremendous list that we have. I'm going to check the chat just to make sure. I didn't get any other suggestions. Doesn't look like it right now. Okay, so from top to bottom, just in case you cannot see the list very well, I'm going to check my camera, see if I can move over here. Okay, I do have manual control if I want to with this. It just takes time to change it. So up here at the top, we have that she wants a rich suburban house. Yeah, this house is not something that's meeting the expectations that she had before, right? She wants to be strong. She wants to fit in. She wants love, someone to understand her, company. She wants a new name. She wants happiness, okay? These are all excellent examples of a claim, okay? So last week, we talked about making a point in a paragraph, right? And every point in a paragraph begins with a topic sentence claim, okay? When you write Esperanza wants, any one of these things, you are making a claim. These are all things, let's say, I think in most cases, these are things that are debatable, okay, with the way that we phrase them, all right? Something that is not debatable, right? Just so we have some clarity here. Something that's not debatable is not a claim, and it does not belong in your topic sentences. So if you said something like, Sandra Cisneros is the writer of The House on Mango Street, do you think that's a claim, or do you think that's not a claim? Sandra Cisneros, I'm going to write this. We're going to do a little test question here, okay? I don't like the idea of test, but I just want to double check it in here. All right, so tell me if you think that this is a claim. Okay, so please weigh in right now, whether you think that statement, Sandra Cisneros is the writer of The House on Mango Street. Do you think that is a claim? Is that debatable, or is that not a claim? It's not debatable.
You could say she is, she's not. I don't think it's strong.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna refrain from my perspective. Elisa thinks it's not a claim. Is that right? Okay. Got Heidi, not a claim. Rachel, not a claim. Rachel clarifies, saying that it is a true statement.
The thing is that it could be, because you could argue like she is the writer, but I feel like it's not like a strong claim.
Well, the thing is, if it's factual, then it is not a claim. Okay, and this, we can look at the cover of the book. It says right there, we have her testimony, and just through time, right, and verification. If we wanted to be philosophical about this, we could make that argument, okay? But for our purposes in this class, let's stick to, if it's a fact, not a claim. And as of right now, this is a fact. Sandra Cisneros wrote this story, okay? We have verification of that, right? Something becomes a fact when the majority of people agree that this is real, that this is true, okay? So it takes that, what I have read before, that universal acceptance of something as true for it to become a fact, okay? But let's just keep it simple, right? Sandra Cisneros is the writer. It's not debatable, okay? So that's how we know that's a claim. But when we say Esperanza wants to be strong, that is more debatable, because we don't have, it's not factual. We have to do a little interpretation. Now, I want you to think about claims on a spectrum, right? And I liked, Elisa, you were kind of saying it's not strong, right?
Yeah.
Let's take strong and make it more like when it's a strong claim, it's more debatable. And then we have something that's less debatable, okay? Do we all agree that Esperanza wants a house? Is that pretty clear that she wants a better house than the one that she has right now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think that it's pretty easy to see from the story. It doesn't take much interpretation. The character explicitly says that, right? So that's leaning on the less debatable side. But Karina, I think you mentioned it. When you added these words to it, rich, suburban, that's where I think it becomes slightly more debatable, okay? Now, Karina, have you read further along in the story? Have you finished it?
I have not finished it, but I'm pretty close to the end.
Pretty close to the end, okay. So I would say, given what we've read maybe, or what I've expected you to read up to this point, slightly more debatable to say rich and suburban, okay? But the point here is, sometimes we are going to be faced with trying to improve our claims and to make them more debatable. When we start to interpret something, that's when we're moving into debate, okay? When we say something like Esperanza wants a new name, that's a little less debatable, okay, because she literally says that here. But the reason she wants the new name, what the new name symbolizes to her, that's when we get into making a claim, right? If this new name symbolizes strength, okay, now that is debatable. We have to look at evidence, and we have to analyze that evidence to be able to support the idea that this new name represents strength. Or if we say something like fitting in, that's a little bit more on the debatable side, because I don't think Esperanza literally says, I want to fit in, right? So if it's not literal, if we have to interpret it more, we're moving into the territory of a claim, okay? So you guys, sometimes we can start with something factual, okay? We can start with something that is more factual that will help us develop a claim. So just because it's a fact doesn't mean you got to drop it and move on, but you're going to have to add an interpretation to it to make it more of a claim, okay? And, you know, if this is still uncertain to you, okay, it's week 3, right? This is a skill that we have to work on this semester. How do we make a claim, okay? And that is something that certainly can be a struggle to do, okay? Some of you, might pick it up right away, and others, we're going to need more practice. That's what the mini essay is for. When you're writing your mini essay, okay, make sure that you are writing one paragraph, and that the paragraph begins with a claim, okay, something that is more debatable. Okay, do the best you can with what you have reviewed and what you hear in lecture here, okay, what you see in the online materials, okay, but at some point you got to write it, and I got to give you feedback on it, okay? I will let you know if what you wrote is not a claim, okay? And conversely, if it is, then I'll highlight that and I'll say, great job, this is debatable, okay? I can take another side to it, and that's what it means to be debatable. Is there another side, okay? Can you imagine different ways of interpreting this? Sandra Cisneros is the writer of the book. There's no other side to that, okay? We don't have any other claims to someone writing The House on Mango Street, okay? So these, though, she wants love, she wants to be strong, she wants a new name because it will symbolize some other idea to her, right? She wants someone to understand her. That's going to take some time to prove some of those things, okay? It's not obvious, right? It's not factual. So that's kind of your test right now, right? So this is a little review of last week. I'll try to type this into the chat. A claim is debatable. Facts or factual statements are not claims, okay? So interpretations are debatable, and so it can be claims. All right, so if you're uncertain whether what you're writing is a claim, make it an interpretation, and that'll keep you safe, okay? That'll make it more debatable. Now, don't just make any interpretation, because you've got to back it up. That's what the rest of the paragraph is for, right? That's where we get into this question. How do you know, right? What does Esperanza want? Well, Esperanza, wants to be strong or wants to be seen as strong. Well, how do you know that that's what Esperanza wants? Well, the rest of the paragraph is devoted to supporting the claim. And as I pointed out in the online lecture last week on making a point in a paragraph, there are two ways that we support a claim. The first is with reason. Okay. The first way to support a claim is with a reason, a because statement. What does Esperanza want? Esperanza wants to be strong. How do you know? Well, I know Esperanza wants to be strong because she says so, or because she wants a new name. Okay. Okay, great. Once you've given your reason, now we have a bridge to the evidence. Okay, and that's where the support sandwiches come in. After you give your reason, and by the way, you don't literally have to say because, okay? But that's the idea, that helps you understand what a reason is, right? Well, how do you know this is true? Well, because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, great. Well, one thing is giving me a reason or a couple of reasons. Another thing is giving me evidence. Reason is more abstract. Evidence is concrete. We can point to it. If you can put your finger on it on the page, you're looking at evidence, okay? So evidence, that's when the support sandwiches come in, and you need 2 of them per paragraph. All right. 2 support sandwiches. I'm not going to belabor that point more. If you need to review what support sandwiches are, go back to the week 2 lecture, look at making a point in a paragraph, okay? That presentation is there. That also, though, might give me a good opportunity to review or to show you a way that you can review on your own, all right? So let's look at some resources that I've made available to you in the module for this week. Uh-oh. All right, so I'm going to go to the home page. If you are at home right now, please go on to Canvas, log into our course website. I imagine some of you already have, and that's how you're connecting on Zoom. I'm going to get things set up for my in-class students so they can see the same page that I'm showing you right now. Okay, well, that is processing. All right, so you can see this is the home page, okay, and that's what I'm showing them, and I'll have up there for you guys in a second. The home page will change each week, okay? The first week of this class, I had resources for how to be an online learner, how to get to know our website. That page is actually still available in the syllabus module. That's the welcome page, okay? So you can always go back to that. But each week, I'm going to have a new homepage that walks you through what we're doing this week. Okay, it'll start with some goals, some objectives. It'll remind you of what your required reading is. And then oftentimes I'll present some kind of a reflection question that I think will help you. This week, though, what you'll see here on the front page is what's called a rubric, right? This is how I grade your papers, okay? And I will share those with you in the form, in this case, I used a voice thread. Voice thread is just like fancy PowerPoint, right? I'm showing you some material and I'm providing audio commentary to it. So you'll be able to hear my voice when you look at this voice thread. The difference though between voice thread and PowerPoint is you can comment back, okay? It's interactive and you can see the dialogue, okay? And I encourage you, as you're reviewing my voice thread on the rubric, if there's something you don't understand or something you wanted to ask a question about, just put it right into that voice thread, okay? I'll get a notification that you've asked a question, okay? And your classmates will be able to see it too, so that might help them, all right? So feel free to add comments to the voice thread that I put. But basically what I share with you in this voice thread is these are the different things that I'm looking for in your paper. And I tell you what the level is, all right? It's probably not much of a surprise that one of the things I'm looking for is a topic sentence claim, okay? And I say that at the very beginning. I'll also be looking for a reason and support sandwiches. So please be aware of that. There's a few other things that I'm going to share with you as soon as I get this set up for my in-person students. There we go. All right, so that's the home page. And I'm selecting week 3 modules right now, moving away from the home page where the rubric is. All right, so the rubric is certainly one resource that I encourage you to look at. You know, maybe give it a quick look before you start the writing process. Don't obsess about it too much. That's good, we're both on the same one. What I would really suggest though is before you turn in your paper, look at the rubric again. Give yourself plenty of time, okay? Review the rubric and just make a checklist for yourself, okay? Like, do I have this? Do I have that, right? And so on. In fact, you can use a checklist that I've created for you, and I've got a voice thread for that as well. That's right there at the top. I'm not going to play the voice thread in class. I'll just show you the file and what it consists of. Eliana, how am I doing on the chat? Any questions or concerns that have been brought up there? Okay, there you go. So I have a checklist here, okay, if you don't want to make your own. These are elements that should be in your body paragraph, okay? The most important ones, right, are all here: topic sentences, reason, support sandwich number 1. And then of course, when you have a support sandwich, it's context, quote, analysis, okay? Just get into that, okay, get used to it. This is how we will be writing body paragraphs for the whole semester, okay? So this is maybe in some senses the hardest assignment because you're all learning what needs to go in. And now, and after this assignment, it's going to become an issue of conditioning, right? Because I got to get used to it. I start with my claim, I go to my reason, and then 2 support sandwiches: context, quote, analysis, context, quote, analysis. So the part that I don't want you to obsess over too much, especially for this first assignment, is analysis, where it says patterns of thinking and these different versions of it, okay? Yes, we will talk about analysis more at a later time in the semester. I will talk with you about how important compare and contrast are to helping us interpret things, how important cause and effect are. For this paper here, like I said, focus more on, well, why do you think this piece of evidence proves what you're claiming? You know, if you're saying Esperanza is strong or wants to be strong, okay? All right, well then whatever quotes you've chosen, when you're analyzing them, you're just explaining how does this quote help prove that she's trying to be strong, okay? You always bring the quote back to the claim, okay? And your analysis explains that. That's your opportunity to explain that connection, okay? So you tell us, what does this quote mean in terms of the claim that you have made, all right? Okay, so, and you can see here that I've listed both support sandwiches. There's a transition sentence that you can use. Don't obsess too much over the analysis, but I think that's a good resource, okay? You might want to give it a quick overview before you start writing, but do not, it's probably not a great idea to have this checklist with you at the same time that you're drafting your ideas, okay? Use this for editing mode, okay, not for creating mode. When you're creating, you want to be free, okay? We don't want to turn on that internal critical voice, that internal police, okay? Because that makes writing really painful. Some of us talked about that in the first discussion board, right? Stopping and starting, losing track of my ideas. And the way that comes out is, now that's a stupid idea, or isn't that obvious, right? Or it could be, you know, something more appropriate to the class, like, I don't know if that's a claim, okay? Go with it for now, right? And just write, okay? Then you go back when you have time to edit, okay? That's when you start to test. Is this a claim or not? How do I know? Well, is it debatable? Is it an interpretation? Yes, yes, I'm good. Or, no, this seems like a fact, okay? It's easily proven, right? It's right there. Doesn't take any analysis, okay? So I recommend some of these resources for you to use when you're in the editing phase, and I would separate your writing, creating phase, editing phase, okay? So give yourself time to have those two different phases. All right, the other resource I want to show you, because it deals with this one here on MLA, is the model of the mini essay. So let's go to that model right now. Okay, so right below the checklist, you can see I've got another presentation here about making our claims better. I encourage you to look at that, okay? But under the Using MLA tab, I explain a little bit about our MLA guide. That's a resource. But then I have this model mini essay, okay? I think the most important thing about the model mini essay is that it shows you what this assignment should look like, okay? Like I said, some of us get a little uncomfortable when doing the mini essay because students expect to write an introduction and then have a body paragraph or two and then a conclusion. That's really not what this is at all. This is one body paragraph, okay? So to see how someone else did this, take a look at that example, okay? That little video will walk you through my evaluation of that mini essay. But I also added the file just in case you don't want to listen to the video and you just want to look at it yourself in quiet, right? You can see it starts with the, sorry guys at home, it's a juggling act all the time. Here is the file with no audio. Gives you a sense of what this looks like, okay? You can see that we've got the MLA header on the left. That includes the title. You also have what's called the running header. That's what goes on the top right. Okay, and that's where you put your last name and the page number. Okay, this assignment is one paragraph. It's basically a page, okay, of writing. So you probably will go over from one page onto the next, okay? But it's still just one developed paragraph, okay? One thing you might want to do, take that checklist that I gave you and use it while looking at this and see what does the student have, okay? They do have most of the things that are on that checklist, but they are missing a couple of things, or some things are underdeveloped, right? And that's something for you to kind of look at too, right? It's not just do you have it or not, but how well developed they are. If you have all of the elements on that checklist, that's easily a passing assignment, okay? Then it becomes like, oh, is this a B or an A? And that's where it's like, well, how well developed are each of those elements? Okay, that's what gets you into that A territory when they are maximally developed. All right, so I'm going to check the chat really quickly. Does anyone have any questions about these resources that I've just shared with you in the week 3 module?
No.
Alexis, Yulia said nothing right now in class, okay. How about for those of you at home? Any questions about the mini essay or about those resources I've just shared? Okay, Karina's good. Others?
So the mini essay, we do it with any character except Esperanza, right?
Yes, that's right, Rachel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the notes that we took today on Esperanza, that's going to help you write the big paper in a few weeks, okay? But for tomorrow, you just choose one of the small characters that she meets in the neighborhood, like Kathy, you know, Queen of France or Cats, I can't remember which it is, right? Marine, you know, the older, more, well, mature in some ways, neighbor, okay? Maybe some of her cousins, any of the characters that appear in the story. I think Alicia is a good character to look at too, and her aunt, Lupe, okay? So there are, look at some of the figures that she runs into and that she lingers on, right? Because you can make a claim about what those characters mean, and then you can go back it up, right? And that might actually help you later on down the road with understanding Esperanza, okay? So yeah, Rachel, short answer, you cannot write about Esperanza for tomorrow. You'll have to write about a different character, okay? Good question for review. Yulisa, yes?
I have a PDF.
Uh-huh,
It's the book online,
yes.
and you can copy and paste just the paragraphs. I don't know if you want to send it to you. So you put the links in if you want to share to the class, so that when they do their essays, they don't have to type like complete the whole.
Oh, is it a different PDF than the one that I shared with you guys?
Yeah, this is from high school.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I'm glad you're bringing that up though, because I want to make sure all of you are aware of that. I'm going to share my screen for a second. So Yulisa was suggesting that if you have a PDF copy of the book, you could just copy and paste the quotes that you want to use for the support sandwiches. I think that's a great idea.
I sent you a link. Let me know how it shows. How it shows in your screen.
Oh, perfect. Okay, you put it into the chat.
Yeah,
All right,
so because I'm logged in to the PDF,
sure.
because I have the, it's called, Comedy.
You know what it looks like? I'm going to have to make some decisions I'm not ready for at the moment. I'll take a look at the link that you sent. Let me show everyone in the class what they currently have available to them. Okay, so anything that's kind of bonus that I think might be helpful to you, but I don't want to kind of bog you down with more information, I will put in what's called the supplement module, okay? That's what that thing is there for. So there's the supplement module. All right. So in the supplement module, you can see what's titled the open access version of the House on Mango Street. Okay. And I believe it's just a PDF copy of the whole novel. Okay. So yeah, I think that, I made this available, I think in week 1, just in case you wanted to get started reading earlier before you guys got the hard copies of your books. But, I think Elisa's suggestion to copy and paste.
Tammy, you can actually make annotations, so you can highlight,
Oh, really? It's very interactive.
you copy and
Okay.
paste. And it's called, you have to open it with Tammy.
You have to open it with
You open
Cami to
the
do it.
PDF,
Uh-huh.
you put it on open with, and then it has like option, or put other, and then it'll give you the option of Tammy.
Okay.
And so then you make an account with Tammy, and then you're able to annotate and copy and paste the paragraphs to the essay.
Oh, that sounds like a good tool. Okay, I'm going to take some time to learn about it. Elisa is suggesting Cami as a interactive device that helps you to review PDFs, to make annotations. And as I shared with you last week, with my hard copy, right, I write all over this thing.
Yeah.
And you guys, just another reminder, it's your book, okay? You can write all over it. But for the purposes of the mini essay and the support sandwiches, copying and pasting, I think that's a great idea. Always make sure to put the page number in there, okay? That should be available on this PDF here, and it's certainly available here in your book. You can always cross-check it too, right? Copy and paste from the PDF and then go find it, find the page number here in the hard copy.
Yeah, well, and the PDF, it actually gives me a pages.
Okay, perfect.
Well, the one that I sent you, it actually gives me a pages.
Excellent, good. Okay, other questions about the mini essay? The thing that I had planned for today that I'm not going to get to because I really want to keep these lectures more bite-sized, compressed to an hour. And that was about writing complete sentences. Because this is the first writing assignment, I do want to have a little grammar lecture with you all. And this one is really on avoiding fragments. Okay, a fragment is when we have an incomplete sentence. Sometimes that happens with us for a few reasons. Sometimes we've submitted something that hasn't been proofread. Sometimes we just need a review of the rules, okay? That is what this lecture, Back to Basics, What's a Sentence, is all about, okay? It is reviewing with you the elements that we need to write a complete sentence, okay? I will be testing you on that in this mini essay, okay? Again, though, what I would suggest, write freely, have an editing stage where you go back and look again, okay? And before you go back and focus on writing, review this lecture at that time, okay? Look at what should I be looking for, okay? You don't want to give yourself too many things to do when you're just creating your ideas, okay? So a basic suggestion that I have for writing, separating things into 2 phases, okay? You write first, ideas come first, okay? You've got to have ideas in order to write, okay? Once you have those ideas out on paper, then you move to editing. You shape those ideas. You put them in the right order. The last phase is proofreading for grammar, for spelling, stuff like that, okay? You do not want to waste your time editing, like proofreading, if you're just going to change the order of things all the way around and you're going to rewrite new sentences, okay? Make sure you're happy with your ideas, you're happy with the flow of information, and you know what the flow, what's going to create flow is moving from claim to reason to context quote analysis, That, the order of those things, it will create flow for you, okay? If you're doing all of those things in a developed way. After you've got that, look at this fragments lecture on how to write a complete sentence, what should be present. And that's when you go through and you double check as you're reading. All right, good. All right, now I gotta check this one again, I'm not certain. So the Happy Meal version of this lecture, okay, on complete sentences is this. I'll do this right now, and I'm going to do this in the chat, okay? A complete sentence has 3 things. It has a subject, a verb, and the ability to stand alone, okay? a subject and a verb, and the ability to stand alone. Subjects are usually nouns or pronouns, okay? So when you're checking to see if you've got a subject, you're looking for persons, places, or things, okay? Now, it's very likely when you have a sentence, you're going to have more than one noun. So which one is the subject? Whoever is the star of the sentence, who is doing the action, right? The noun that's paired with the action, okay? That is your subject, okay? Verbs, especially when we're talking about action verbs, they make things more simple, right? That's easier to identify, the action, right? So I'm going to type in one of the claims that came up earlier today into the chat. Esperanza wants I'm just going to say new house. Okay, so there's an example of a sentence for us, right? Now I want to kind of check on a few things. What seems to be the action here? What's the verb? Esperanza wants a new house. What do you guys think? Yeah, thank you, Elisa. Elisa said wants. So we've got one element of a sentence here. Okay. So then the next thing would be our subject, right? We have two nouns. Esperanza, that's a person, and we have house, that's a thing, okay? Who's the star of this sentence, though? Esperanza is, right? Esperanza is the subject of this sentence. Okay, she is the one who's doing the wanting, okay? All right, so now we have two parts to our sentence, right? Now we got to check for that third one. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated. You know, what does it mean to stand alone? Well, the most concrete way that I can explain this is we're missing certain subordinate conjunctions or trigger words that make these things not stand alone. Words like although, or because, or while, right? Imagine if we wrote this sentence like this: because Esperanza wants a new house. That is not able to stand alone when we say because Esperanza wants a new house, okay? That is a dependent clause. It has to be attached to something, right? If we wanted to use that, we'd have to say something like because Esperanza wants a new house, she gets a job, okay, right? So that's what we have to watch out for. I provided in that PowerPoint on what's a complete sentence, I give you a whole list of those words to watch out for. Although, while, because, as, okay? Those words are called subordinate conjunctions, okay? Anyway, three things: subject, verb, ability to stand alone, okay? That's a preview. Look at that lecture on fragments, okay? When you are in the editing stage of your mini essay, all right? Okay, everyone, last thing I'm going to show you is where do you turn in the paper? Okay, let's go back to the week 3 module. Once this thing loads, all right, here we are. So we go to the bottom of the module. And you can see there are 2 links for you to turn in your paper. That is not a mistake. Alexis, you can see right there. Those are the 2 links. Okay, so the first link, okay, is my kind of plagiarism checker, all right? I never assume, even if there's something that raises an eyebrow, that you have plagiarized, okay? I do not take turn it in report at its word. It's a start of a conversation. I'll check in with you and be like, you know, what happened here? You know, why is the originality report so high? Okay, now I do allow for some resemblance. Okay, so if you've used turn it in before, you'll see a report, and that report tells you the resemblance rate, and it's a percentage. You know, 1%, 20%. Okay, I allow for up to 25%. Okay, just in my experience, it seems to be the appropriate amount because we're all using the same language when we're writing. We're quoting from the same book. There's going to be overlap, right? So don't freak out about stuff like that, okay? And I actually posted an announcement this week about frequently asked questions, and one of them is the Turnitin originality report, how much is okay, right? How much is too much? If you're at 25% or less, you're fine. If you are over 25%, that's when we have a conversation, okay?
How would you determine- how would you,
Well, when you submit your paper
oh,
using this link,
okay.
a report will generate right away, and you guys should actually be able to see your own number, okay? And in fact, this is a good opportunity. When you turn in your paper and you see the number, right? If it's over 25%, look at it and see why might it be over 25%. If it's a little over 25%, like if it's somewhere between 25 and 30, probably means the quote is too long or the quotes are too long and you haven't written enough analysis, okay? So that's a simple fix. But if you're borrowing too much from another text, okay, that's where you got to change it. You just got to put your own ideas in, okay? So if it's a little bit over, probably the quotes are too long, you know, shorten the quote, add more of your own ideas, add more of your own analysis to it, okay? Yeah, that's where you submit the file. And it's the same file that you submit to the Turnitin link. You also submit to what I call the graded rubric link. This is where you actually get the points, okay? So when you select the graded rubric link, you will be able to see right below the prompt how I grade your papers, okay? I basically select one of these boxes for each of the elements, okay? And that's what I explained in the voice thread at the beginning on the home page, okay? I take this rubric and I explain it for you. So you are submitting the same file to 2 links, okay? And the 2 links are right next to each other. Please make sure to get that done. All right. Any other questions before we finish out for today? Yes, you will submit the essay twice, one to each link, the Turnitin link and the graded rubric link.
Okay.
Okay.
So we just copy and paste.
No, it's a file. You're going to have to submit a file. Yeah,
You have
there.
to save it as a file?
Yes, you will have to save your writing as a file. That's why Google Docs can be useful in this case. You just download it as a Word document, and then you upload that Word doc. If you can't do Word doc for some reason, Google Docs also allows you to download it as a PDF. So I will accept one of those 2 files, Word doc or PDF, okay? So you'll need to save your writing as a file and then upload it to both links. Okay. Questions about the assignment or how to submit? All right. With that silence, then I will end class for today. And of course, if anything comes up, you can just email me, all right? Do your best to get it in tomorrow, okay? It really, it's a good sign of how you're progressing if you can get it in on time, okay? You know, there is no penalty if it comes in later, all right? But what you don't want is stuff to snowball, okay? And it's not a good sign if you can't get something in, you know, within the deadline, all right? So please turn it in. And if you have questions or concerns, just email me, okay? But remember, if you need another day to work on it, fine, take another day, okay? I am concerned when I hear students say, or when they don't turn it in for like a week, okay? Or like 5 days, then it's like, oh, okay, no, this is really, because this is a 1-page assignment, okay, at the beginning of the semester. And if you can't get that one in on time or within like a day or 2, then there might be something going on with your personal schedule that needs to be adjusted because it will not get easier in a sense than this assignment, okay? But anyway, all right, everyone. Thank you all for stopping in. To those of you on Zoom and for those who came into class today, it's good to see your faces. Okay, everyone, take care and good luck with the writing. Yes, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Mr.
Yes.
Green,